Do you ever look at the world we have built with all its noise and speed and feel like we missed the most important instruction? It's a quiet feeling, isn't it? A subtle hum beneath the surface of your daily life. You see the towers of glass and steel, you hear the endless stream of information, and you participate in the great, busy rush of it all. Yet, a part of you feels like a stranger here, as if you carry a memory of a different way to be. This feeling is not a flaw. It is an echo from a time so distant it has been erased from our books, a whisper from a place like Göbekli Tepe, a temple, they call it, built 12,000 years ago by people we were told were simple hunters. But when you look at it, you don't just see stones. You feel a question. You feel the weight of a forgotten purpose, a deep and profound knowledge that we have somehow misplaced on our long journey to the present moment. In our time together today, we will not be excavating the site with the tools of an archaeologist, but with the senses of the soul. We will not focus on the dates and the measurements that describe the what. Instead, we will seek to understand the who. Who were these people who gathered under the stars to carve these silent giants? What did they know about the cosmos, about consciousness, and about the nature of reality itself? This journey is about listening to the message they embedded in stone. A message not of words, but of awareness. A message intended for a distant future they seemed to know would be lost. A future that would need to remember its own origins. If this feeling of a lost memory resonates within you, I invite you to share your thoughts in the space below. This isn't just a place for comments. It is a hearth where we gather to have the quiet conversations our modern world often avoids. Your own experience is a valuable piece of this shared exploration. And if you feel called to continue this journey with us, subscribe to this channel so you do not miss the path as we walk it together, seeking the wisdom that waits to be remembered. There is an old, simple truth, one that has been echoed in many forgotten traditions. The wise do not build with stone, they build with stars. This does not mean they ignored the earth beneath their feet. It means their foundations were not in the ground alone, but in the sky. It means every structure, every act, every ritual was a reflection of a cosmic order. They understood that we are not merely living on the earth, but are a living part of a conscious universe. The stones of Göbekli Tepe are not just a temple to be looked at. They are an instrument for seeing, designed to align the human mind with the vast intelligence of the cosmos. They are a map not of a place but of a state of being. So let us now step away from what history has told us and begin to listen to what the stones themselves have to say. Let's quiet the noise of our world, just for a moment, and feel what it is we have forgotten. We will go deeper now and try to understand what this ancient message means for you, right here in this life. Of course, I understand the desire to go deeper, to allow these ideas the space they need to unfold fully. To honor your request for a significant expansion, I have taken the previous 6 blocks and gone much further into each one, adding more layers, more moments of reflection, and more direct connections to the viewer's inner world. The result is a much longer, more meditative journey. It is designed to be absorbed slowly, allowing the weight and meaning of each idea to settle. This is the heart of our exploration. Expanded. Block 1. the great misunderstanding, forgetting who they were. The story we are told, the one written in our history books, begins with a profound mistake. It is a story that frames our ancestors as primitive. It paints a picture of simple hunter-gatherers, living hand to mouth, whose greatest achievement was merely surviving. And then, this story tells us they somehow, almost by accident, stumbled upon the ability to create this breathtaking structure. This story is convenient. It makes us feel like the pinnacle of a long, clumsy climb, but it is not true. We have forgotten that there are many kinds of intelligence. Our modern world worships one kind, the logical, mechanical, and external. We build skyscrapers that pierce the clouds, we send data across the globe in an instant, and we see this external complexity as the ultimate measure of worth. But the builders of Göbekli Tepe were not primitive. They were masters of a different, and perhaps far more important, kind of intelligence. Imagine a great tree. We are mesmerized by the leaves, the branches, the visible growth that reaches for the sun. This is our civilization, but we ignore the true life of the tree. The vast, intricate, and invisible root system that draws nourishment from the darkness, that communicates, that holds the entire structure firm. The builders of Göbekli Tepe were people of the root. Their sophistication was internal. Their technology was consciousness itself. Their tools were not hammers of stone, but the focused power of shared intention, the forgotten science of sound and vibration, and a deep, empathetic listening to the earth itself. They did not need engines and cranes because their entire community acted as a single organism, powered by a unified purpose that hummed in their very bones. We look back and call them primitive because our yardstick is broken. It only measures the noise of the external world, while their genius was in their connection to the silence of the internal one. They possessed an emotional and spiritual intelligence that we have sacrificed for the sake of progress. They knew how to live in balance with forces we no longer even perceive. The first step in hearing their message is to quiet our own arrogance and admit that we have forgotten more than we currently know. Block 2. The cosmic blueprint. You are made of stars. So, if not by accident, then for what purpose? Why would a people invest centuries of effort across dozens of generations to carve and raise these silent giants? The answer is not in the soil they tilled, for they were not yet farmers. The answer is written in the great, dark canvas above them. Modern astronomers, with their digital tools, can rewind the celestial clock. And when they do, a stunning picture emerges. The central pillars, the most important ones at Göbekli Tepe, are aligned. They point to a specific spot on the horizon where, 12,000 years ago, the star Deneb in the constellation of Cygnus the Swan would set. For the ancient Egyptians, thousands of years later, this part of the sky was the gateway to the afterlife. For countless older traditions, this constellation, which sits within the dark rift of the Milky Way, was seen as a celestial river, a cosmic womb, the very place from which souls journeyed to the earth and to which they returned. This was not for navigation. This was for remembering. Feel that for a moment. The idea that the sky is not a cold, empty void, but a home you have forgotten. These builders were creating a mirror of the heavens on earth. They were building a bridge between their brief, fragile lives and the eternal cycles of the cosmos. They were embedding a truth in stone for their children and for their children's children. You are not an accident. You are not a random occurrence on a lonely planet. Your origins are stellar. Your very consciousness is a spark of the same fire that lights the distant galaxies. In a world untouched by artificial light, the night sky was not something to be glanced at. It was an overwhelming presence. It was their scripture, their history, their map, and their promise. Göbekli Tepe was built to be a compass, one that did not point north or south, but pointed to the soul's origin point. It was a sacred machine not for doing work, but for remembering who you are, where you came from, and where you are going. It was a tool to prevent the deepest kind of amnesia, the forgetting of the soul's journey. Block 3. The Animal Messengers, a world alive with language. Now, let us walk closer to the pillars and trace the carvings with our mind's eye. They are teeming with life. We see the fox, the snake, the boar, the crane, the spider, the vulture. Our modern mind catalogs them, names them, calls it art. But for the people who carved them, this was not decoration. This was a living language. Each creature was a word, a sentence, a carrier of essential wisdom. In our world, a snake is just a reptile. We might fear it or study it, but for them, the snake was the embodiment of transformation, the creature that sheds its skin to be reborn. It was the symbol of life force, healing, and the cyclical nature of time itself. The spider was not an insect. She was the great weaver, the spinner of reality, the keeper of the threads of fate that connect all beings. The vulture, which our culture sees with disgust, was for them the most sacred of beings. It was the divine purifier, the great liberator who consumed the flesh of the dead so that the soul could be freed, unburdened, to ascend to the heavens. They lived in a world of profound meaning. They did not see a separation between the physical world and the world of spirit. The two were woven together, constantly speaking to one another. An animal crossing your path was not a coincidence. It was a message. A storm was not just a weather pattern. It was a conversation with the sky. We have lost this language. We have dissected the world, taken it apart, and in doing so, we have silenced it. We have become deaf to the poetry of existence. The carvings on these pillars are an invitation to learn that language again. They are a plea sent across millennia, asking you to see that the world is not a dead collection of resources, but a living, breathing, intelligent being. They ask you to notice the symbols in your own life, the recurring dreams, the chance encounters, the whispers of intuition. What messengers are trying to speak to you? What vital wisdom are you ignoring because you have been taught that the world has nothing to say? Block 4. The T-pillars, the silent, faceless God within. Among all these living forms, the most powerful figures are the pillars themselves. Look again at their deliberate shape. They are not simply posts to hold up a roof. They are stylized figures of people, standing in silent communion. We see their long bodies. We see their arms carved at their sides, their hands delicately pointing towards their navel, their center of being. But they are missing one thing. They have no faces, no eyes to see, no mouths to speak, no features to give them an individual identity. Why? This is perhaps the most profound part of their message. The pillars do not represent individual people. They are not statues of great chiefs or powerful shamans. They represent the one thing that is common to all of us, the thing that exists behind all faces. They represent pure consciousness, the silent, witnessing awareness that is the source of your being. They are faceless because that awareness has no identity. It is not your name, your job, your past, or your personality. It is the still, silent presence that is left when all of that falls away. The hands pointing to the navel are a direct instruction. Go within. Find your center. Your power is not outside of you. In many ancient traditions, this is the seat of life force, of intuition, the place where we feel the truth before our minds can even form the words. By standing in a circle of these silent, faceless watchers, they were creating a powerful energetic field, a space designed for the human ego to dissolve, a place to unburden yourself from the heavy mask of your personal story and simply be. In our world, we are told we must constantly build and project our identity, our brand. Göbekli Tepe teaches the opposite. It reminds you that liberation is not found in becoming a better somebody, but in realizing the freedom of being a nobody, a silent, faceless presence in communion with the all. Block 5. The intentional burial, planting a seed for the future. And now we arrive at the act that defies all modern logic. After more than 1,000 years of continuous ceremony, of gathering and building, Göbekli Tepe was not conquered. It was not destroyed by invaders or ravaged by an earthquake. It was intentionally, methodically, and reverently buried. Imagine this act. Imagine the sheer labor. Generations had poured their life force into this sacred place. And then new generations were tasked with covering it all up. They filled the spaces between the pillars, they covered the carvings, they brought tons of earth and stone and created the artificial hill that would protect this site for the next 10,000 years. This was not an act of destruction. This was the ultimate act of faith. It was the sealing of a time capsule. They were not burying a corpse. They were planting a seed. They knew, with a wisdom we cannot fathom, that a great cycle was ending. A change was coming over the consciousness of the planet. Perhaps it was the end of the Ice Age and the trauma of the great floods that followed. Perhaps it was the slow, inexorable shift into agriculture, which they knew would chain the human spirit to the land, to ownership, to hierarchy, and make it forget its celestial home. They knew a long winter of the soul was beginning, an age of forgetting. So they put their most precious wisdom to sleep. They created a womb of earth around their temple, not to hide it, but to protect it. They sealed it away with the profound trust that one day, far in the distant future, a new kind of humanity would emerge. A humanity that had reached the very peak of external complexity, only to find itself spiritually impoverished, lost, and desperately searching for a meaning it had misplaced. They buried it for us. They planted this seed of stone and stars, knowing that we, their forgetful children, would one day need its nourishment more than anything else. Block 6, your inner temple, the builder is you. This brings our journey to its final destination, which is not a place on a map, but a place inside of you. The ultimate message of Göbekli Tepe is not about the past. It is about your present and your future. The site itself is merely the outer shell, the physical echo of a living internal reality. It is a blueprint left for you. That cosmic alignment they built in stone, that is your own soul's deep need to align with a purpose that is greater than your daily survival. It is the call to find your own true north, the unchanging values that guide you through the darkness. Those animal messengers they carved, they are the forgotten language of your own intuition, your dreams, the symbols your subconscious mind uses to speak to you. The work is to learn to listen to the whispers of your own inner world. Those silent, faceless pillars, they are the silent, witnessing presence that is right here, right now, behind your eyes, listening to these words. They are an invitation to find that stillness within yourself, the source of all peace and all wisdom. And the great burial? It is a perfect mirror for the parts of yourself that you have buried for safekeeping. The dreams you were told were childish. The sensitivity you were told was a weakness. The deep spiritual knowing you were told was not real. You buried them to survive in a world that did not understand. But now, this is the time of the great unearthing. They did not build this temple so that we would travel to it and take pictures. They built it to show us how to construct it within ourselves. The real work is not to dig in the dust of a distant land. The real work is to excavate your own heart, to unearth your own buried wisdom, to align your life with the stars, to become the silent watcher. They were the first builders and they left the blueprint. But now you are the builder, and the sacred ground is the landscape of your own life. The time to begin is now. Of course, here are the final 3 sections of the script. I have honored your request for a deep and substantial conclusion by giving these final thoughts the space and detail they deserve, allowing the message to land with gentle and lasting power, while maintaining the clear, supportive tone of Nairos. This is a conclusion designed not to simply end the video, but to begin the viewer's own personal integration of its message. We have walked a long path together today, a journey that began with a quiet feeling of being lost in our modern world, and has led us across 12,000 years to a circle of silent, stone watchers on a Turkish hilltop. We have seen that Göbekli Tepe is not just a mystery of the past, but a mirror for our present. A mirror that shows us what we have forgotten. And so, you might be asking now, what is the solution? How do we fix this feeling of being disconnected? How do we find our way back to this lost wisdom? The answer is both simpler and more profound than you might expect. The great message of the builders is this: the path forward is not found by doing more, but by being more. The solution is not to add something new to your life, but to remember and reconnect with something ancient that is already within you. Our world teaches us to seek answers outside of ourselves, in books, in teachers, in far-off places. But Göbekli Tepe points in the opposite direction, points inward. There is a difference between knowing and remembering. To know is to collect facts with your mind. You can know the dimensions of the pillars, the date they were carved, the names of the constellations they align with. That is knowledge, and it is useful, but it is hollow. To remember is to feel a truth in your bones, in your soul. It is to stand in your own life and feel the silent, watching presence of the pillar within you. It is to look at the world not as a collection of random events, but as a living language of messengers and symbols. It is to feel your connection to the cosmos not as a scientific fact, but as a felt sense of belonging, of being home. So I will not give you a complex set of rules to follow. Instead, I will offer a gentle shift in perspective, a few quiet invitations. First, dare to embrace silence. Just for a few minutes each day, turn off the noise. Sit and do nothing. At first, it will feel uncomfortable. Your mind will race. But in time, you will begin to hear the quiet hum beneath the static. That is the beginning. That is the voice of the watcher. Second, look up. Step outside one night, away from the city lights if you can, and simply look at the stars. Do not try to name the constellations. Do not think about distances and light years. Just look and feel. Allow yourself to feel a sense of wonder, of awe. Let the vastness of the sky remind you of the vastness within yourself. This is how you begin to rebuild your inner cosmic temple. And finally, learn to listen to the messengers. When a strange coincidence occurs, when a particular animal crosses your path, when a powerful dream lingers after you wake, do not dismiss it as random. Ask a simple question. What is this trying to show me? Treat your life as a sacred text full of meaning, and you will begin to see that meaning everywhere. This is the path. It is not a race to a destination. It is a slow, patient, and loving act of unearthing. It is the work of remembering who you were long before the world told you who you should be. The voice becomes even softer, more direct, like a friend speaking in confidence. The music is minimal, a soft drone or a single, sustained note. I know this path can feel lonely. When you begin to awaken to this deeper reality, the noise of the ordinary world can feel more jarring than ever. You may feel like a stranger in your own life for a time. Please hear this. You are not alone in this feeling. Across the world, countless souls are stirring from the same long sleep. They are feeling the same quiet pull, the same deep ache of remembrance. The feeling of being lost is not a sign that you are broken. It is a sign that your inner compass is beginning to work again, and it is showing you that you are pointed in the wrong direction. That quiet whisper you hear inside, the one that questions the world, the one that yearns for something more real, that is not your imagination. It is the oldest and most honest part of you. It is your most reliable guide. Trust it, nurture it, protect it from the world's cynicism. Your inner truth is real and it is profoundly important. And even if this journey feels difficult right now, even if it brings up confusion or sadness, know that this is part of the process. The unearthing of a sacred site is not a clean process. It involves moving tons of heavy earth, of debris that has accumulated for centuries. The unearthing of your own soul is no different. Be patient with yourself. Be gentle. This feeling of disturbance is the first, surest sign of waking up. It is the beginning of the thaw after a long, cold winter. It is part of the path home. Let this be the question that stays with you long after my voice has faded. Who are you when you stop telling your story?